So welcome to the second episode of Watch Me Code. Yesterday, I decided to continue looking at the project, and I remember there was a bug that I found before Christmas. And so I was like, okay, wait, what was this bug again? So I went looking for it. I found it, and I did not lie and I did not cheat. I literally hit the record button, not knowing if I would find it and be able to fix it and how long it would take. It took in total about 45 minutes. I cut the video down to 30, cut up some of the ranting and waiting. But I found the bug in a few minutes. We looked at the code, and you can actually watch me read the code out loud to debug it and figure out what the problem was. And then not only do I make the code change, I also say, am I gonna really push this into production? Because there are pipelines, and we do. So, and it works. Yeah, spoiler. Anyway, I hope this is helpful for people to see what working or programming in real life is. And yeah, so no hello worlds, includes all the bugs that are there. Well, I'm fixing bugs in the first couple of videos. But if you like this, give the video a like and subscribe as well. And I will see you again soon. Bye. Okay, so in this episode, I want to look at a real bug that I have in this demo that I showed. So this is a public project on GitHub. And as part of my job, I help customers use Azure, and DevOps is one of my sort of specialties. And this is a demo that I show customers to help them sort of sort out when do you create a project, how do you separate your repositories, and then how do you do governance, right, across multiple teams. And I really hate foo and bar, and then Alice and Bob are not much better. And so the analogy that I use is fruits and vegetables. You have a supermarket where you sometimes collaborate, otherwise separate. And of course, you have some central IT in there. And so what I often do is I will come in here and do some configuration, usually with the permissions and the Azure AD groups that are tied to here, and I regularly break this, any sort of permissions that I have set up on here. So what I decided to do is I decided to automate it with Terraform. So before you ask, why Terraform and not ARM? So first of all, I can't write ARM. I was recruited to Microsoft. I can read it, but I can't really write it. But more importantly, Terraform has multiple providers, so it can talk not only ARM, it can also talk Azure Active Directory, which lets us create service principals, and it can also talk to the REST API for Azure DevOps, which will allow us to automate some of this. So you can't add the nice icons, but this setup is basically sort of done here. And if I remember correctly, if I come into one of these projects, this was not it. Let's go back. Admins. So I want to check this, and this is wrong. Okay, so let's see how much I documented in the concept for this. So this is what I was talking about a little bit in terms of the subgroups. You'll see here you have admins, two different sets of groups for each domain. Fruits and vegetables are different domains. Okay, the rest talks more about the governance concept itself as opposed to the Terraform. So I'm going to show this in the GitHub page because this is probably what you will be looking at more than anything. So what I have here is I've created some modules, which are basically Terraform templates that I can reuse. And a service connection is basically credentials that you use to access particular resources. And in this case, for your dev and your prod environments, there are different credentials. And in Azure, you would normally separate that by subscription, or you can also use resource group. For sake of convenience, I'm using resource group, although technically subscriptions are better. And as well, the Azure resources. So let's say your standard application has a database and a web app, right? Then you would put that template sort of in here, and for the different environments, you could just fire it up. So I have fruits, and I have veggies, and then I have dev and prod. That means I end up with 4, right? Let me think. Yes, 4. So if I come back to, before I sip coffee again, so you can kind of see this here. Now I'm in the Azure portal. You'll see that I have different resource groups. So fruits dev, fruits prod, veggies dev, veggies prod. The reason why there is a random string here is because some of the Azure resources need to be globally unique. For the sake of the demo and to save costs, I actually only created things that cost pretty much no money, like storage account that's empty, and I have a key vault to actually store secrets. So coming back to here, I have not looked at this in 2 months, so this can be kind of interesting. Let's go into DevOps permissions, and let's see what this does. So we have contributors, we have administrators. Actually, let me make this bigger. I can zoom in the video later, but I can also just look at this now. And I have a team group, and I have, okay, so in Terraform, you have something called a resource, and you also have data. A resource is something that's managed by Terraform. So this group that I create is going to be managed by Terraform, which means I can also delete it. This, however, I'm just importing. I'm just importing a group. Why are they the same? This is the origin. I will have to, maybe I'll figure it out as I read through this. I am normally super pedantic, but I didn't document it. Oh, actually I did, it's up here. So to add AAD groups to existing project roles, that's why I have to import them because they're already there by default. So I create a new Azure DevOps group. Then I get a reference to the existing group, so the contributors. And then I add the group with references to the Azure AD group to contributors. Okay, let's see. So before I do a search, which is what I normally do, just jump right in and look for admins. Let me try to walk through this. So I have a team role called contributors. So this is, I'm creating the group. I'm calling it a team group. And I am adding the origin ID, so I'm referencing the Azure Active Directory. Then I need to basically, I'm guessing, reference the group that I just created, probably in order to get a parameter that I otherwise can't get. So yes, probably this, the descriptor. If I remember correctly, I have some scripts, Azure CLI scripts in the repository that will help me debug some of this stuff. Okay, so this is probably what I needed, this descriptor, which is this really long sort of identifier, if I remember correctly. So these are the members, and members, team, group, descriptor. So here I have my admins, admins DevOps group, admins group. Origin is the admin Azure Active Directory ID. This looks right. So I have an admins group. I'm referencing the admin ID. And admins, there's an admin role, and I noted above it's called project administrator. Here I have admins again, members, team group descriptor. I think I want actually admins group. I think I found the bug. So just reading it. So I think this actually should be, in terms of the membership, I don't want to put the first AAD group, I actually want to put this group. Okay, so let's try adjusting this in the code and making the changes live. And if you remember from the other video, I fixed the pipeline. So this should actually be a nice little demo as well of CI/CD. Okay, so I use a terminal. I'm already in that repository, which is nice. This is from yesterday. Let me open up Visual Studio Code. So if you remember correctly as well, I actually reset all the access keys yesterday after recording, so none of these are valid anymore. I don't necessarily have the best desktop management skills, and I move stuff around. Okay, so now that I'm here, I'm on the main branch. The first thing I want to do is, and actually I'm just going to use my shortcuts, and I will explain them in another different video. So that was me copying and pasting and changing things yesterday. I'm just going to change that, git reset hard. Apparently the $, I still have stuff stashed. So So I know I finished that, and those are all work in progress, so I could actually theoretically ignore all that. I don't, before I switch to another branch, I don't have stuff that I need. I'll clean up the stash later. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do checkout, and I'm gonna call it, normally I would do this and call it probably fix like membership or something like that. Permissions membership. So I said normally because I need to check what triggers I have for my CI/CD pipelines. If fix is a appropriate prefix, if not, I have to use feat, which stands for feature. So I'm not going to take that and look at the pipelines, which are all YAML. And the first thing I'll do is CI. And so, okay, it does take the feat, the fix prefix, which is good. And let's look at CD. Right, so I only actually deploy real changes on the release branch, which I want to rename, and I'll explain later why. So that's fine. And drift is, it will do main. So let's see what happens. I think off the top of my head, I can't explain the flow. So we'll just try it and yeah, do it that way. So I did not create the branch yet. So let me create the branch. Now I have the branch. And if I remember correctly, that was in Azure Resources and it was in the main, right? No, okay, so let's go the old way. DevOps permissions. It was in permissions, that's why. Yeah, I don't know why I thought Azure Resources. Okay, so if I remember correctly, I had team group up here, and I think it should be admins group. So let me just copy and paste that. And I changed that. And what I can do before I run it is that you'll see what I do for the pipeline. So these steps will execute, and theoretically you can also then see if that works locally. So especially the validate and checking the format before I actually push. So let's try, I've aliased Terraform to TF, so let's try TF validate. Ooh, that's fun. Unknown features, boards, repositories. You know what? I don't think I've actually initialized this, and I think this will actually fail as well because I cleared all the tokens, so none of this works anymore. Let's just do the backend equals false, just to initialize it so it pulls everything. No, it really wants everything. Oops, that was dumb. Okay, what I really wanted to do, but it didn't change anything, is remove that folder. So that was the Terraform cache. So let's try init again with no backend. So now it'll actually initialize. It doesn't remember that it had some stuff before. And let's wait. Okay, so let's do the validate again. It's just checking the code. It doesn't actually have to query any Azure resources. And the other one is this, and it came out as, you'll see here the indicator is green, so that means it was successful. If I do something stupid, it should come out as red. Maybe to demonstrate, let's go back here, then let's make this wrong. So now it should come out as red. Or the validate should make it come out as red. There we go. Oh, the format check I think is like tabs versus spaces, and I actually have issues with that sometimes. Anywho, so we want to make this change, and if I was smart, I would actually create a GitHub issue before I make this change. But let's not do that today. I already started recording. So just double check, and if you want to do, no, it's called, not cache, what is it? Color words. So if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I really don't like some of the code lens where it helps you in VS Code. I learned Git on the command line over 10 years ago, and this makes much more sense to me. And I'm just super pedantic And I think that if you learn everything on the command line, you can't really go wrong because you know how to do it. If you take away the sort of nice tools on top, you can still sort of, use Git, for example. Okay, so I follow conventional commits, and so this should be fixed, but when I merge, I'll probably want to call it fixed, but well, let's do it anyway. So I could use a throwaway name, but I will do this instead. Let's see, project. I want to be very specific what this does. So this is a fix for the permissions. Project admins are use admin AAD group for project admins. So take those extra 30 seconds and think of a commit message that is useful. Trust me, if you do anything that's really published, you will always then wonder what you're doing. Okay, I need my keys. This was not planned. Hold on. So I sign all my commits, and my secret keys are actually on a physical device. Not sure if this camera can zoom in on this, and not on my computer. So I have to enter this and enter the pin. So now I can actually make the commit message, and I'm also going to now push it. -U stands for I think set upstream. And I have to enter this again because now the GPG key is used not just for signing commits, but also unwrapping the credentials you see here in the .NET RC file, so that it knows which credentials to use when talking to github.com. And I use this not just for github.com, I also use Heroku, and I think there's some other things in there as well. But those are the two main ones that I have in my .NET-RC file. So now I push that. Let's come back to GitHub. And it's a little bit smaller again. So, okay, now I have to do more stuff. Okay, perfect. I was already signed in recently. So this is running. If I click on this, it passed already. That was fast. This is super confusing because I was like, I did not set up GitHub Actions for this. I actually did this in Azure Pipelines. This has changed, I guess, compared to the last 2 months when one of my last commits, or I have the memory of a goldfish, which is also true. So let's click on job. And as you can see, it ran the things that I did, and that worked. So I could theoretically now do a pull request. And for the hell of it, I'm going to do that here from the browser. Let's do this. Okay. Yeah, no. Let me, for the hell of it, for thoroughness, put in a screenshot of why it's broken. Now, I'm just going to drag this into here. Where the OAD group is given elevated permissions. Currently, let's just do only the admin subset should have project administrator permissions. So this is taking a while to upload, which is strange. A pull request. So this is going from there into main. I wonder if actually as an admin, I think I can directly push to main in this project. So we're going to use the squash and merge. It's actually only one commit. So it will just move that sort of one commit over. But if I had multiple commits, I could flatten it and then have it move over. So, okay, so I can't do this until this runs. So we're going to wait for it to run. Because this is a Microsoft organization, so Azure Samples, it does some license checks. This is under MIT, so that's pass. Okay, now it works, and now we can do squash and merge. Don't need an extended description. Okay, so now this is merged, and if I come back to here, it should kick off another pipeline for the main branch. This is protected. Okay, so maybe I can't push directly to it. Let's please open a new tab. No, it's just going to do this. Open a new tab. I really don't like this. Why make me jump through this intermediate page? I really just want to go to Azure DevOps. Okay. So what I'm going to expect actually is that it will say, hey, there's a change, a configuration drift compared to what you have in production here. And so I'm going to expect that to go red. Let's come back here. So it did go green. I think it runs actually, yeah. So this is injected by Microsoft, but it actually runs the exact same things that I did to go into the main branch. Oh, now it's red. I missed one then. Yes, the drift, that is the one that I was, okay, I was looking at this. This pipeline is also kicked off. So let's go look at that. Pipelines. And so let's make this full screen and you will see. So Terraform says this will be updated. This will be updated in place, which means it's not going to delete the resource. It's going to change the AAD group that it points to, and you'll see like this giant thing, which I think is called the descriptor. And so this affects admins. This is admins. Scroll up, admins, 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 admins. Okay. So what I always do, and not just because I'm recording, although I do it more when I'm recording, is read through the changes, right? Don't blindly click, I know what I did, and I'm just going to go and make that change. I really want to see, okay, what is it changing? And I've confirmed that it's not actually going to delete any resources. So all the memberships that I have will still be there. What it's going to do is just change the groups that are assigned to it. So let's see. It's not working, but this is what I want to do. And what I want to do is create a new pull request. So I'm going to move, the main branch into release. Okay. And oh, there's lots of stuff that's going to go in, but all of this is documentation and the pipeline. So I rename things. I changed, yeah. Just checking that I didn't actually change any Terraform code. So even though I didn't change the Terraform code itself, I changed the pipeline significantly. So that's something that I should definitely also double check. And here I introduce stages. Yes, okay. So I will demo this in a second. What I did here was that I added, I guess you can call it a feature for the repository and the pipelines itself. So it will actually comment on the pull request, whether or not there was configuration drift. And this actually only does it for the pull request into the release branch, not into main. And these are icons. What is this? More icons that were used in the documentation changes. And as you can see, this is the fix that I made a few minutes ago. And this is me adding to the helper how to generate a shared access signature from the command line, because if you know me, I don't like the portal. Get rid of the mouse, go to the trackpad, easier to scroll. Go through that really quickly. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I'm going to create a pull request, and so when I said earlier that I don't like the fact that this is called release, is that I personally use or think when I hear release, I think more of software libraries that you push to other developers that they can use. You can consider, software application deployments to be releases, right? And then you say 1, 2, 3, 4, or rather do semantic versioning is another number. But I don't like it, especially in this case. This is not something that is meant to be given to Azure customers to use as a template. Hey, here you go. This is a sandbox. Use it. This is really just a demo, right? So it's not meant to be production code, as pedantic as I am, which is why in a different video another time, I actually want to rename the release branch just to deploy, because then it's reflects more what it actually does, which is it just deploys, or it makes the changes to the project. Okay, so after all that, I'm just going to say deploy, and what did I call the other one? I'm going to come back here and just get a reference to it. And deploy fix. And I'm just going to call it that. So what I can do is see if the upload is working now with S3. Let's check in the console. It's uploading. Oh, okay, I have to hit refresh. My guess is that it's not working. Because if it did, it would have already uploaded the image. Oh, this is really a shame. I'll add it later as a comment to the pull request or to an issue, especially because I'm not writing any text. I really want to be explicit about what change I'm making and why. Okay, let me just say, is admins. Let's just do it like this. I added various images, icons, SVGs, and what else did I do? Updated pipelines. So I don't forget. Upload screenshot of this bug when GitHub works again. Let's create this pull request. Close this. So there's a bunch of stuff in here. You can see this was when I was fixing the pipeline or adding the new feature of detecting the drift. Review is required. So as an administrator, you can still merge this pull request. Okay. Okay, so if I were super pedantic, actually, which I am, I should have, even though the other changes were just documentation changes, I should have created pull requests earlier and just, yeah, put those in, because now I will have all these changes. And the title of this, if you remember, is deploy fix, use admin group for project admins. And it's actually going to include all these documentation changes instead. And if I roll back, it will roll back everything. But too late. I could create a merge commit. Squash and merge. We'll do a merge commit. Just be a little bit easier to undo. So we have to wait for all of these things to run. Let's come back here. And this is the one. Yeah, so this was my previous pull request, which was made. And this is just for the pull request, and so it will post the same, it detected the same drift that we saw before, and now what it's going to do is it should add a comment here, which is what the pipeline does. It just says, like, yeah, watch out, something has changed. I actually really wanted to put the entire output that's in here into the comment, but the GitHub task does not support multi-line strings for the comment body. So I couldn't do that, and this is the best that I could do, which then hopefully links to the commit. Yeah. So proceed with caution, but I'm an admin, and I'm going to do this, even though you might not necessarily want to do that. And I think I said I wanted to do a merge commit, commit. So yes, you can see that even I'm hesitant about pushing that button. Push. Yes. And normally prefer nicer messages, but to avoid delaying doing something, I'm just going to do that. Okay. Come back here, and you'll see as well, this should have something kicked off. No? Why not? Yes. Okay. Refresh. Does everything. And now come back here, and so now it's deploying the change. So now we're going to wait, and then I should be able to come back here, and this should be fixed. So this is an old deployment, and it actually looks right based on the output, which is interesting, and it's scary, right? It means that it gives you a false sense of security that everything's correct, but as you saw when we were actually in here, it was not correct. So this is what it was before. Let's do a refresh and see what it looks like now. Come back in here, go back to members. Yay! Now it works. So I think I'm just gonna end the video pretty much sort of here and not look into the outputs, or maybe I'll record it and I might put it in and might not. But so now we fixed a bug. So I think this is the bug that I remembered from a couple weeks ago when I was looking at this. We found the error in the Terraform code, which I'm really proud of, because I did not actually look in advance where the error would be. And given that I wrote most of this code 2 months ago, this is great that I know where it was. So we changed that code. We made it in a separate branch. We had to merge that into the main branch with a pull request. And that was when a different pipeline was kicked off to say, okay, if you merge this main branch into the release branch, will there be any configuration drift? And it said yes. And that's what we expected, right? We fixed a bug. We're going to change the memberships. So then we had to make another pull request into the release branch. And normally this would be sort of more, even more sort of like security sort of like walls thrown in your face, because now you're going to make the actual change to production. So we said, yes, we're going to do that. I'm an admin, so I don't have to do a review. And yeah, we fixed it. So that bug is now fixed. And there might be other ones in there, but we'll see another day.